I was crazy enough to believe what the fuck I was saying gonna happen was gonna happen. And that's why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist now.
Winner is 50 Cent.
The award for best rap video goes to, come on Playboy, 50 Cent.
American Music Award goes to 50 Cent.
The most accessible person I've ever encountered in this industry, and he does not stop.
I can.
Growing up playing video games and now seeing myself in a video game is exciting. I mean, like, I would have never.
These SMS audio, they go on your ears. Remember that, 50, SK Energy, Street Kid.
Jimmy Iovine or Dr. Dre? Who you think was more hands-on with making the game? Who the game is?
It was 50.
50?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank both M and Dre. You know, I don't honestly think my career would have been what it was without their support.
Initiating information transfer. Processing facts and data. Data successfully converted. You are now plugged into Collion Wire.
If you were breathing in the early 2000s, you've probably heard of 50 Cent, or seen things like do-rags under fitted hats or casual bulletproof vests. Yeah, that's because of 50 Cent. Doing books, music, movies, and TV, he made himself nearly impossible to avoid. This is the story of 50 Cent, Aftermath's warrior.
1975.
Curtis 50 Cent Jackson III is born on July 6th in Queens, New York. He doesn't maintain contact with his father and is raised by his mother Sabrina, who has him at only 15. Sabrina, going by Brina, gives young Curtis the nickname of Boo Boo. Brina is also a feared drug dealer in the neighborhood, helping 50 fend for himself in school fights by giving him socks with toys in them. She uses her drug money to take care of Curtis, and possibly because of this career choice in
1983.
When Curtis is 8 years old, she is killed in a mysterious house fire. In a later interview, he says someone put something in her drink and turned the gas on. After this, Curtis is sent to live with his grandmother, who already has a house of 9 children to take care of. Because of this, Curtis ends up spending a lot of time outside in the streets of Queens.
1986.
At 11, he starts boxing and begins being sent to pick up Fat Alberts for his drunk uncles. For context, a Fat Albert is cocaine packed in tinfoil.
1987.
At 12, he actually starts dealing crack cocaine, telling his grandparents he's busy with after-school programs. Later, he says he did this because he knew his grandmother could not afford the things he wanted, having her own children to take care of, and that he needed to fend for himself, rather than stress her out more. Throughout his time dealing crack cocaine, Curtis abstains from using it himself, only selling it as a route for income.
1989.
When Curtis is 14, a neighbor of his opens up a boxing gym for local youth. Looking back, Curtis says, "When I wasn't killing time in school, I was sparring at the gym or selling crack on the strip."
1990.
At 15, Curtis buys his first gun and begins to bring guns and drug money to school. Eventually, he's caught by a metal detector at Andrew Jackson High School, and after this, he stops hiding the fact that he's a drug dealer.
1994.
At 19, Curtis is his neighborhood kingpin, bringing in around $150,000 a month. He ends up dropping out of high school and begins listening to artists like KRS-One, Rakim, and Run DMC while in and out of jail. At this point, Curtis begins writing his own rhymes and thinking about pursuing the music business. On July 29th, Curtis is arrested for selling 4 vials of cocaine to an undercover cop. He is arrested again 3 weeks later when police find heroin, 10 ounces of crack cocaine, and a starting pistol during a raid on his home. He is sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison, but only ends up serving 6 months in a boot camp while earning his GED. Around now, Curtis adopts his name 50 Cent, from the 1980s Brooklyn robber who goes by the same name, saying he's the same type of person. I provide for myself by any means.
1996.
50's son Marquise Jackson is born, and 50 makes the decision to move away from dealing drugs and pursue a career in music, saying he wants to be closer with his son, unlike his own father. He ends up getting a tattoo of Marquise on his bicep. He enters music with his friends Lloyd Banks and Tony Ayo, who grew up in the same neighborhood as him, forming the group G Unit. He begins making music in a friend's basement, and soon another friend of 50's introduces him to Jam Master Jay of Run DMC. Jay sees something in 50 and decides to help him, teaching him how to count bars, write choruses, structure songs, and make records.
1997.
Jay signs a production deal with 50, agreeing to promote him. His early songs are raw, using lyrics to portray his life on the streets.
1998.
50 makes his first appearance on Onyx's track React, a song on their 1998 album Shut 'Em Down. He finds quick success in recording and releasing discs, making a name for himself in the underground world of hip-hop without the help of a label or any major company backing him.
1999.
50 leaves Jam Master Jay on good terms, signing to Columbia Records and receiving a $65,000 advance. However, $50,000 goes to Jam Master Jay for the production assistants and the rest to lawyers, so 50 remains broke, selling drugs again to make ends meet. At some point, an affiliate of 50 robs fellow rapper and Murder Inc. member Ja Rule of his chain. Ja Rule, however, believes 50 was behind the whole incident, beginning their long-lasting beef. Columbia Records sends him to an upstate studio in New York, where he produces 36 songs in 2 weeks, 18 of which end up on his 2000 album Power of the Dollar. Between now and then, however, Columbia kept him at a standstill. Growing tired of waiting for label approval, 50 founds Hollow Point Entertainment with associate Bang 'Em Smurf and releases one of his own singles. One is titled Life's on the Line, a diss track aiming at Ja Rule. Another single he writes on a 30-minute car ride to the studio titled How to Rob, detailing how 50 would hypothetically rob a lot of other artists in the industry, including Lil' Kim, P. Diddy, Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston, Keith Sweat, Mace, ODB, Corrupt, Jay-Z, Slick Rick, Big Pun, Master P, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, Timbaland, Missy Elliott, DMX, DJ Clue, Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, RZA, Juvenile, R. Kelly, Boyz II Men, Busta Rhymes, and many others. 50's idea with the song is to pull attention toward him, feeling he is being ignored, not being allowed to release music while on the label. It works. The label notices the song, and so do some other big names, including Nas, Jay-Z, Corrupt, Big Pun, DMX, Wyclef Jean, and Wu-Tang Clan responding to the track. Nas even invites 50 on tour with him on his Nostradamus tour that year.
2000.
Soon, after 50 releases How to Rob, another song of his, Ghetto Quran, leaks to the public. The song details 50's experience dealing drugs in Queens, naming former drug dealers from his neighborhood from the 80s. One being Kenneth Supreme McGriff of the infamous 80s drug gang Supreme Team. McGriff's Supreme Team is responsible for 8 murders in 1987 alone, and McGriff himself once shot a girlfriend of his for refusing to have an abortion. McGriff is also highly associated and tied to Murder Inc. label, the home to Ja Rule, a rapper that 50 Cent has beef with. The song leads to McGriff blacklisting 50 from the music industry and possibly the murder of Jam Master Jay for coaching and promoting the young 50, regardless of McGriff's demands. It also leads to him being labeled a snitch by his current rivals of the time, Ja Rule, Murder Inc. CEO Irv Gotti, and other associates of the Murder Inc. group. He actually ends up brawling with Ja Rule at a club they were both booked to perform at, and is later stabbed by Murder Inc. associate and friend of Ja Rule, Black Child, at Hit Factory Studios in New York City. Lastly, it leads to a hit being put on 50's head, and ultimately an attempt on his life.
The shooting.
On May 24th at his grandmother's former house in South Jamaica, Queens, 50 is in a friend's car ready to leave. He then exits the vehicle into his grandmother's house to get jewelry that was left inside. Returning to the vehicle, his son Marquise inside the house, grandmother on the front lawn, he enters the backseat of the car. Another car pulls up nearby, a man gets out, walks up to 50's window with an 9mm handgun, and fires 9 hollow points into 50 and 1 into his friend. They are both taken to the hospital. 50 is hit in his hand, arm, hip, both legs, chest, and his left cheek. The bolt that enters his cheek actually causes him to lose a wisdom tooth, resulting in a slightly slurred new voice, and a piece of bullet fragment lodging into his tongue. Because of this, doctors tell 50 that in order to remove the fragment, a surgery would need to be done that could result in 50 losing his voice. 50 goes without the surgery, and to this day still has that bullet fragment in his tongue. 50 is subsequently dropped from his label and blacklisted from the music industry. He spends 13 days in the hospital using a walker for 6 weeks and is fully recovered after 5 months. During this time and thereafter, he refuses to cooperate with police in response to his shooting and neglects paying his medical bill for the incident. His alleged attacker, Daryl Hamo Baum, close friend and bodyguard of Mike Tyson, is killed 3 weeks later. He was hired as part of a 3-man hit squad by Kenneth McGriff. After the shooting, McGriff has a meeting with 2 other gang members saying, "I got him," stating they left 50 for dead, bleeding heavily, recreating 50's attempts to ward off bullets with his hands. He then goes to Canada to record music, unable to use a US studio. With his partner Shaw Money XL, he records over 30 songs for mixtapes to rebuild his reputation. His method of using already popular beats to flip and remix them with his own creativity appears to be effective.
2002.
50 releases his mixtape Guess Who's Back, including the song Ghetto Quran on it, and another tape titled 50 Cent is the Future, featuring G-Unit. Marshall Mathers, another rapper from Detroit, Michigan, hears 50's Guess Who's Back tape and is impressed by it. Mathers, as a rapper, goes by Eminem and has an established relationship with rap pioneer and producer Dr. Dre. He invites 50 to fly out to Los Angeles in order to introduce him to Dre. In LA, 50 signs a $1 million record deal with Interscope under Shady Records and Aftermath Entertainment. I have a separate video all about Aftermath if you're interested in learning more about that. He files to trademark the term 50 Cent for clothing, sound recording, and live performances, and releases G-Unit's second mixtape, No Mercy No Fear. Eminem hears the song Wanksta, a bounty diss song aimed at Ja Rule, and also the start of 50's beef with Cameron. The song in general is about Ja Rule, claiming he's a fake gangster and does not actually represent the character he portrays. Ja Rule is also in association with the men who put a hit on 50. 50 specifically targets Cameron, saying he's no longer cool like he was in high school. This is in response to a comment Cameron made about 50 being cool in high school and not anymore. Liking it, Eminem includes it as well as 3 other songs by 50 Cent in his biopic, 8 Mile. 50 is then accused by Irv Gotti of filing an order of protection against Ja Rule. 50 denies it, and it takes no effect on 50's reputation. It ends up the order was filed, but it was filed by the police on 50's behalf, and not by his own doing. Later on that year, 50's friend and mentor and world-famous hip-hop pioneer, Jam Master Jay, is shot and killed in his studio in Queens, New York.
2003.
50 releases his debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin, debuting atop the Billboard 200, going 9 times platinum, and becoming the top-selling CD of that year. At the time, it takes the claim of being the biggest #1 debut by a new artist on a major record label. Its hit single, In Da Club, sets a Billboard record as most listened to song in radio history within a week. 50 also wins 2 American Music Awards for Favorite Rap Album and Favorite Male Artist, as well as 2 BET Awards for Best New Artist and Best Male Hip Hop Artist. Billboard Music awards 50 Album of the Year, Artist of the Year, R&B Artist of the Year, Rap Artist of the Year, Hot 100 Male Artist of the Year, Hot 100 Single of the Year for In Da Club, and 10 additional awards under subcategories. Mobo, Music of Black Origin, also awards him Best Hip Hop Act, Best Album, and Best Single for In Da Club. MTV awards him Best Rap Video and Best New Artist in a Video for In Da Club's music video. Source awards him with Album of the Year, Breakthrough Artist of the Year, and Single of the Year for In Da Club. He wins a Teen Choice Award for 21 Questions. He receives Vibe Awards for Artist of the Year, Dopest Album, and Hottest Hook for In Da Club. He receives Best Artist of the Year, Best New Artist, Best R&B, Hip Hop, and Pop Act. The album also includes the song Back Down, another diss at Ja Rule, and Irv Gotti as well this time. Honestly, the whole song is littered with disses to the point where I could literally include every line for context or the situation, so I'm including the song's Genius page in the description for you to view yourself. As a result of the album's success, Interscope gives 50 his own label, G-Unit Records. 50 immediately signs friends Lloyd Banks and Tony Ayo, but since Ayo is currently incarcerated on weapons charges, he also signs Tennessee rapper Young Buck. While working on their upcoming album, Dre and Interscope CEO Jimmy Iovine signed Compton rapper The Game to G-Unit, who 50 befriends and writes a couple hit songs with. They then released G-Unit's debut studio album, Beg for Mercy, going 4 times platinum. 50 also releases diss songs Hail Mary and I Smell Pussy, targeting rappers Ja Rule, Black Child, Cadillac Ta, and more. 50 then starts his film production company, G-Unit Films. At this point, 50 is living mainstream success and purchases the 17-acre, 52-room Connecticut mansion and property of Mike Tyson, professional boxer and friend of 50's shooter, Daryl Baum. He then adds a private movie theater, infinity pool, a helicopter pad, and other amenities. He also begins wearing a bulletproof vest everywhere he goes and purchases a fleet of bulletproof SUVs for transportation. Reebok reaches out and 50 signs a 5-year deal to sell G-Unit sneakers.
2004.
50 makes a partnership deal with Glacier, earning minority share in a new drink called Vitamin Water, as well as his own flavor, Formula 50, in turn for being a spokesman for the brand. He also receives 2 Songwriter of the Year awards from ASCAP, as well as a top R&B song and a top rap song for In Da Club. BET then awards him and G-Unit for Best Group Award. Billboard Music awards him for Best Ringtone of the Year for In Da Club. Brit awards him Best International Breakthrough Artist, and Vibe awards him Best Group for G-Unit.
2005.
50's second studio album, The Massacre, debuts atop the Billboard 200, going 6 times platinum and selling 1.14 million copies in its first 4 days, setting a record at the time. It was also the second best-selling album of that year, losing only to Mariah Carey's The Emancipation of Mimi. 50 becomes the first artist with 3 singles in the Billboard Top 5 during the same week and wins another American Music Award for Favorite Rap Album. He then wins 2 Most Performed Song ASCAP awards for In Da Club and PAMP, as well as Top Ringtone Song of the Year for In Da Club. He also receives the Best Interactive DVD and Best Music AVN Award for his song Groupie Love. Billboard then again awards 50 Artist of the Year, Hot 100 Artist of the Year, R&B Artist of the Year, Rap Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Ringtone of the Year for Candy Shop, and 6 additional awards under subcategories. Vibe awards him Best Rapper and Hottest Hook for Hate It or Love It. His movie Get Rich or Die Tryin, based on his life, is also released through Paramount Pictures, receiving mainly negative feedback, saying it is too much like other rags to riches movies. However, I can't find another film that came out around this time or before then that is similar, and even if you can, this one is based on a true story, and the cinematic drama of the protagonist being shot 9 times is a true event rather than a plot filler added for entertainment. The soundtrack for the movie goes platinum, and the video game 50 Cent Bulletproof is released 8 days later, selling 1.8 million copies and receiving mixed reviews for poor mechanics but good story. The game is based on 50's seeking revenge against the hitman who attempted to take his life. A book is then written by 50 titled From Pieces to Weight, Once Upon a Time in Southside Queens, which is then published detailing 50's life and experience growing up in the streets of Queens. After 50 is done releasing a book, a movie, a video game, and 3 albums in 1 year, he is sentenced to 2 years probation for charges of 3 counts of assault and aggression for rushing a concert audience member for throwing a bottle of water at him. G-Unit member The Game's album, The Documentary, is then released. It is executively produced by 50 and includes 2 songs, How We Do and Hate It or Love It, which feature 50. The album debuts atop the Billboard 200 and goes double platinum. Soon after this, tensions begin to rise between 50 and The Game, as The Game decides to work with artists such as P. Diddy and Cameron and refuses to be part of other G-Unit beefs. 50 then goes on the radio station Hot 97 and publicly boots The Game from G-Unit, as well as claiming writing credits for 6 of the songs from the documentary. The Game then shows up at Hot 97 and tries to enter the building. Him and his entourage being denied entry get into a shootout, with one of his associates being shot in the leg by the group of men they are arguing with. 50 also does the voice acting for an episode of Simpsons this year.
2006.
50 announces his dislike for Oprah, saying she caters to old white women. 50 also receives ASCAP awards for Songwriter of the Year, Top Rap Song for How We Do, and Ringtone of the Year for Candy Shop. 50 is featured in the crime film Vengeance alongside Danny Trejo and rapper Baby Bash, as well as the war film Home of the Brave alongside Samuel L. Jackson and Jessica Biel.
2007.
Tony Yayo, an affiliate Lodi Mack, see the 14-year-old son of Jimmy Henchman, the game's manager, and assault him. For context, Jimmy Henchman has been putting hits on 50 and other G-Unit members as well as shooting up Tony Yayo's car. Lodi Mack is sentenced to 2 years in prison, and a hitman is hired by Jimmy Henchman to kill Lodi Mack 2 years later. In 2017, Jimmy Henchman would be found guilty of murder and serve 2 life sentences. A diss track towards P. Diddy by 50 titled Hip Hop leaks, in which 50 Cent accuses Diddy of setting up the murder of Biggie Smalls. As the year moves on, 50 has plans of releasing his 3rd album, Curtis, based on his life before Get Rich or Die Tryin', on September 11th. But fellow rapper Kanye West also has his 3rd album, Graduation, planned for September 18th, only a week later. To attract attention to the releases, Kanye moves it to the 11th to create a competition with 50. They go back and forth, taking jabs at each other like MMA fighters talking trash before a match, with 50 even going as far as saying he'll quit rap and never release another solo project if he sells less. Then, on September 11, 2007, both of their albums release, 50 Cent's Curtis debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200, with Kanye's Graduation taking number 1. This is recognized as the exit of the bling bling gangsta era rap. 50's promise to stop making music only remains half true. He continues to make music, but none of it ever charts like he did before the competition with Kanye. Instead, his business venture with Glacier from 2004 pays off when Coca-Cola purchases the company for $4.1 billion, earning $50 $100 million after taxes. He also starts his own book publishing company, G-Unit Books. At this point, 50 is the 2nd richest rapper of all time behind Jay-Z, with a net worth of just over $100 million. He then lists his Connecticut estate for sale in order to move closer to his son. The mayor of Bridgeport, Colorado, declares October 12th of 2007 50 Cent Curtis Jackson Day, awarding him with a key to the city. He also wins the BET Award for Hustler of the Year and is awarded Best-Selling Hip-Hop Artist from the World Music Awards. 50 also files a lawsuit against Traffic's advertising company for threatening his safety, portraying him in a cartoon image saying, "Shoot the rapper and you'll win $5,000 or 5 ringtones guaranteed." He also releases his 2nd book, Death Before Dishonor, co-written by Nikki Turner. It's about a man who is released from jail after 5 years and is on a mission to get the people who sold him out. He also releases his 3rd book, Blow, co-written by Quan, about a group of drug dealers going from small-time deals to big money moves.
2008.
While on Hot 97 radio, 50 announces that Young Buck is no longer a part of G-Unit, citing excessive spending and inconsistent behavior, as well as Buck's claim to not being paid royalties. Young Buck responds with a diss track titled Taped Conversations featuring Game. G-Unit then releases their 2nd album, Terminate on Sight, listing Buck only as a featured artist. 50 then announces his 4th album Before I Self-Destruct to release later in the year, but it doesn't end up releasing. However, 50 does start a new film production company, Cheetah Vision. He also visits a platinum mine in South Africa, meeting with the billionaire Patrice Motsepe with the plans of purchasing an equity stake in the mine and launching his own line of 50 Cent branded platinum. He also signs deals with Right Guard to sell his own body spray, Pure RGX50, with Steiner Sports to sell his memorabilia, and with Magic Stick to promote his condoms. A feud between 50 Cent and Rick Ross then begins when Ross releases Mafia Music, a song taking aim at 50. Days later, 50 responds with the song Officer Ricky, exposing Rick Ross for his work as a correctional officer before stepping foot in the rap game. Ross appears on Eminem's radio show, Shade 45, the next day, telling 50 to come up with something better in 24 hours. 50 then uploads a video titled Warning Shot and a series of cartoons about Rick Ross as a CEO titled Officer Ricky. He also uploaded an interview to YouTube between him and Tia, a baby mama of Rick Ross. In the interview, Tia confirms Ross's background as a CEO. During the video, 50 also takes her shopping. At this time, 50's relationship with his son becomes stressed when he and Shaniqua Tompkins split up in one of his homes in New York that's involved in a lawsuit between him and her mysteriously catches fire. Shaniqua believes 50 was involved in the fire, and 50's son Marquise takes her side. From here, his relationship with the son becomes more turbulent as time goes on. 50 then features in the crime mystery Righteous Kill alongside Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and John Leguizamo. A show titled 50 Cent, The Money and the Power also airs on MTV. It's a reality show in which contestants go through a series of challenges from 50, with the winner being awarded $100,000 to start their own business. Unfortunately, the show is canceled after one season.
2009.
50 is awarded a Grammy for his work on the single Crack a Bottle from Eminem's album Relapse. He also releases his second video game, 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, this time depicting 50 and the rest of G-Unit in the Middle East fighting for a diamond-encrusted skull that was stolen from them after receiving it as a payment for a concert. The game gets good reviews such as a 7.1 from IGN, but is commercially a failure, selling much less than Bulletproof. 50 then posts photos of him taking Rick Ross's kid to Floyd Mayweather's mansion. 50 posts a video of him promoting his upcoming fourth book, The 50th Law of Power, a collaboration with Robert Greene and a modern take on his book, The 48 Laws of Power, which released August 19th. 50's fourth album, Before I Self-Destruct, is finally released with a feature film by the same name. It debuts at number 5 on the Billboard 200 and is certified gold. The album is intended to be much darker and more aggressive than his previous albums, and ironically includes production from Kanye West. Unfortunately, however, his work doesn't make it to the final cut. 50 Cent then wins the lawsuit against Taco Bell for using his name without permission. 50 then features in a crime drama Streets of Blood alongside Val Kilmer and Sharon Stone, and another crime drama titled Dead Man Running, as well as doing voice acting on Modern Warfare 2. He is also the star, of course, in his film Before I Self-Destruct that was released with the album. He also releases his cologne titled Power by 50 Cent.
2010.
In an interview with ContactMusic.com, 50 says he's got a Eurodance album, Black Magic. He later changes the upcoming title to Return of the Heartless Monster, shelving the Black Magic idea. He records 20 songs to a whole new album idea before shelving them, desiring to express the same aggression that he felt on Get Rich or Die Tryin. He then announces his album should be out by the summer of 2011, but because of conflict within Interscope, it was delayed a year. This album never seems to come to fruition, with him changing the idea altogether to an album titled Street King Immortal. 50 becomes involved with a company that launched through the Shark Tank show called H&H Imports, and they begin selling a line of headphones titled Sleek by 50. He then purchases over 12% of the company's shares and goes to Twitter telling his fans to buy stock in the company. As soon as his fans bring the stock price of H&H from 4 cents a share to just over 50 cents a share, 50 sells all of his own stocks. This earns 50 around $10 million. However, 50 then loses a lawsuit claiming he stole his design for the sleek headphones. 50 then features in another crime drama, 12, alongside Emma Roberts, Chase Crawford, and Rory Culkin, as well as the crime thriller 13 alongside Mickey Rourke and Jason Statham, and another crime drama, Caught in the Crossfire, alongside Chris Klein, and another crime thriller, Gun, alongside Val Kilmer again, and a rom-com, Morning Glory, alongside Rachel McAdams, Harrison Ford, Jeff Goldblum, and Patrick Wilson.
2011.
50 and Ja Rule's beef seems to come to an end when Ja says publicly that they are cool and no longer beefing. 50 launches his energy drink Street King with a philanthropic initiative to provide food for 1 billion starving people in Africa by 2016. He also starts SMS Audio, a headphone and electronic company selling Street by 50 headphones, donating a portion of sales to charity. SMS was in partnership with Walt Disney Parks, Lucasfilm Star Wars, and Intel. 50 then stars in the sports drama All Things Fall Apart alongside Ray Liotta, as well as another crime thriller, Blood Out, again alongside Val Kilmer, and another crime drama, Set Up, alongside Bruce Willis. 50 also releases his 5th book, Playground, co-written by Lizzie Akana. It's about a 13-year-old boy detailing about how an incident at the playground turned him into the bully he has become. A comic version of the 50th Law is also released. 50 then threatens to leak Dr. Dre's next single in retaliation for Interscope not allowing him to release his next album. He is then featured on an episode of Oprah and explains why he didn't like her back in 2006.
2012.
50, still in conflict with Interscope, temporarily cancels his album Street King Immortal before his second son, Sire, is born on September 1st. 50 then becomes a licensed boxing manager, forming a new company, the Money Team, with Floyd Mayweather. They sign that dude, Andre Durrell, Billy Dibb, James Kirkland, Luis Olivares, and Dante Strayhorn. However, by the end of the year, 50 and Mayweather are exchanging disses as a result of 50 trying to fire Al Heyman, the promoter and manager at TMT, while Floyd was in jail for domestic assault. At the BET Hip Hop Awards, 50 and other G-Unit members are seen on video attacking Rick Ross's Maybach Music Group member, Gunplay. Gunplay's diamond necklace is taken during the brawl, and 50 is then seen at the Washington, D.C. bowling alley wearing this chain. 50 also features in the crime drama Freelancers alongside Robert De Niro and Forrest Whitaker. He is also in the action thriller Fire with Fire alongside Bruce Willis and Josh Duhamel. 50 then releases his sixth book, Formula 50, a 6-week workout and nutrition plan that will transform your life, co-written by Jeff O'Connell.
2013.
50 becomes a minority shareholder in Hangwith, an app dozens of celebrities are using to broadcast live and chat with fans. The app reaches over 1 million downloads and brings on other celeb investors such as NFL player Terrell Owens and record producer Timbaland. 50 then acts in the crime thriller Frozen Ground alongside Nicolas Cage, Vanessa Hudgens, John Cusack, and Dean Norris. He also acts in the action thriller Escape Plan alongside Sylvester Stallone and Arnold that guy. He also acts in the comedy Las Vegas alongside Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, Michael Douglas, and Kevin Kline.
2014.
50 leaves Shady Records, Aftermath Entertainment, and Interscope, signing himself to G-Unit Records in Caroline under Capitol Music Group. Here he releases his fifth album, Animal Ambition, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200. 50 then becomes a minority shareholder in Aint Vodka, a brand from the Netherlands. He also signs a $78 million deal with the luxury underwear brand Frigo Revolution Wear, becoming the chief fashion designer for the brand's single pair of Frigo boxers. The deal is in partnership with NBA player Carmelo Anthony, MLB player Derek Jeter, and former president of Tempur-Pedic Matthias Ingvarsson. He then acts in the thriller The Prince, again alongside John Cusack and Bruce Willis. In June, the crime show Power airs from 50's company G-Unit Films in collaboration with CBS Television. It was created by Courtney Kemp in collaboration with 50 and tells the story of a successful drug dealer attempting to move towards the legitimate business world by running a nightclub. 50 plays friend-turned-rival Kanan.
2015.
50's beef with Ja Rule starts back up when Ja compares the Drake and Meek Mill beef to his and 50's. Rapper French Montana also posts a video in which he disses 50's Aint Vodka and throws it away. In response, 50 posts a video he had in which French Montana himself compliments the vodka and says he loves it. He also furthers his beef with Floyd Mayweather by challenging the boxer to read a page of Harry Potter. For context, Floyd has been outed as being very bad at reading, stemming from a clip that was aired on The Breakfast Club. 50 then files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with a debt of $32,509,549.91, 50 days after a jury orders him to pay Rick Ross's ex-girlfriend $5 million for posting a sketch of her and another man online. He then acts in the comedy Spy alongside Melissa McCarthy, Rose Byrne, Jude Law, and Jason Statham. He also acts and works on the soundtrack for the crime drama Southpaw alongside Jake Gyllenhaal, Rachel McAdams, and Forrest Whitaker.
2016.
50 endorses presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, rejecting an offer of $500,000 from the Trump campaign to make an appearance. At an airport, 50 assaults and harasses a janitor, accusing him of being under the influence. It turns out the janitor was a hearing-impaired autistic teenager, and as a result of this, his parents attempted to sue 50 for $1 million. In the end, they don't get the million, but they settle for a donation of $100,000 to Autism Speaks by 50. 50 is also ordered to court over a judge's suspicion of 50's finances in light of his recent declaration of bankruptcy in relation to his Instagram posts of stacks of cash. 50 then claims he will no longer use his page but have someone run it for him. 50 also ends his feud with the game when the two run into each other at a strip club. 50 then acts in the comedy film Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, alongside Andy Samberg, Sarah Silverman, Tim Meadows, Eric Andre, Bill Hader, Will Arnett, Jimmy Fallon, Martin Sheen, Maya Rudolph, and fellow musicians Questlove, Nas, Carrie Underwood, Usher, Ringo Starr, Adam Levine, Akon, Mariah Carey, Pink, Big Boy, DJ Khaled, A$AP Rocky, RZA, T.I., Pharrell Williams, Seal, Snoop Dogg, Weird Al, and Michael Bolton.
2017.
50 sells his minority stake in Aint Vodka for $60 million and comes out of bankruptcy. Interscope also releases 50's final album under the label, a greatest hits compilation.
2018.
Ja Rule calls out 50 on Twitter, and in response, 50 purchases the first 4 rows of his concert and leaves them empty for the show. 50 also ends up partying with the woman who sued him for posting her sketch saying they are all cool. 50 goes on to sign a 4-year deal with Starz for a 3-series commitment. He also makes a $10 million investment in a company called Genies that builds avatars for people and communities, and another investment in Self Financial, a startup that helps build credit history for its customers. 50 then shares a sexually explicit photo of Tierra Marie from her Instagram page to his own. She alleges these images were not uploaded with her consent and attempts to sue 50 for the incident. 50 then acts in the crime drama Den of Thieves, alongside Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr., as well as the sequel to Escape Plan 2, now including Dave Bautista.
2019.
50 sells his 17-acre 52-room mansion and property for $2.9 million after initially listing it back in 2007 for $18.5 million. 50 is also named with hundreds of other artists whose material was destroyed in the 2008 Universal fire. The lawsuit against 50 for revenge by Tira Maria is closed with 50 winning, ordering her to pay him $30,000. Rather than pay, however, she releases a diss track titled I Ain't Got It, as well as a line of matching merch. 50, hustling harder and smarter, responded by trademarking the phrase I Ain't Got It, as well as purchasing the domain IAintGotIt.com, which means 50 can claim any money she profits from the use of the phrase. At some point, French Montana posted a photo of him in a Bugatti, claiming to be the first New York rapper to own a brand new 2020 model. 50 then responds with documented evidence that the car French Montana posted a photo of is actually a 2010 model that Montana got on a 60-month loan. 50 then acts in Escape Plan 3, and Power airs its 6th and final season as one of cable's must-watch shows.
2020.
50 is an executive producer on the show For Life, a true story about Isaac Wright Jr., a man who was imprisoned for a crime he did not commit, using his time to become an attorney and overturn the convictions of 20 fellow inmates. It airs on ABC and is canceled after 2 seasons. Power Book 2 Ghost, a sequel to the original Power, airs on Starz. It follows where the first show left off, but is centered around the protagonist's son. 50 then endorses Donald Trump early on in the 2020 election due to his dislike of Joe Biden's tax plans. A week later, however, 50 retracts his endorsement, saying, "Fuck Donald Trump, I never liked him" on Twitter, and then endorsing Joe Biden. Also this year, 50 had been in talks with a rapper by the name of Pop Smoke, who took a lot of inspiration from 50. Soon the two had developed a friendship. Soon after, Pop Smoke is murdered in the middle of his rise to success. Hearing that he had his debut album in the works, 50 takes control of and executively produces the album, which ends up with the name Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. Its original artwork by Virgil Abloh is announced and receives major backlash for looking lazy and rushed, considering Abloh used the literal first picture from the query Pop Smoke available on Google Images at the time. Pop Smoke's mother ends up in the creation process and inevitably chooses the album cover while seeing a designer working on a metal flower. She says the flower works as a memorial for her child, and the metal shows that it will not fade and is therefore permanent. The album releases July 3rd and debuts atop the Billboard 200, as well as being named the top Billboard 200 Album of the Year and top rap album, going on to be certified double platinum. All 19 songs from the album chart on the top Billboard 100, and 50 uses the success to fulfill Pop Smoke's dream of taking his mother to an award show. 50 and Rick Ross end their feud. 50 is then awarded a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, California, as well as the NAACP Image Awards awarding him with Outstanding Directing in a Drama Series for his work on the Power episode Forgot About Dre. 50 then releases his 7th book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, with great commercial success, even becoming a New York Times bestseller.
2021.
50 moves to Houston, Texas, thought to be for lower taxes, no income tax, and for the local rap scene. Also, Jackson, Horizon United Group, and Houston Independent School District begin a partnership on a project to help high school students learn the business skills that define successful entrepreneurship. In July, 50 stated in an interview with The Independent that he had officially decided to shelve Street King Immortal after spending a decade in the development period. He said he had plans to release an entirely different project. In August, 50 confirmed that he would be starring in the upcoming Expendables installment. Then, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, a prequel to the original Power show, aired on Starz, and is centered around the early years of Kanan, the character played directly by 50 Cent himself. The show Black Mafia Family also airs on Starz in fall. The series is executively produced by 50 and based on the true story of two brothers in Detroit who ran a drug trafficking and money laundering operation in the mid-1980s until 2005.
2022.
In January, 50 shares a document from Starz Network showing the top shows of 2021. 3 of his shows, including Power Book 2 Ghost, Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, and Black Mafia Family, are the most highly rated shows in black households across America. In February, 50 is a surprise performer in Super Bowl 56 halftime show alongside Dr. Dre, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Anderson .Paak, and Mary J. Blige. Later in the year, 50 attempts to sue a Miami-based plastic surgeon for using a photo of him as promotional material for enhancement surgery. He says that Angela Kogan, an employee at Perfection Plastic Surgery and Med Spa, asked to take a photo with him, and he, thinking she was a fan, obliged, but never consented to it being used for advertisement purposes.
2023.
6 days into 2023, 50 tweets about a possible collaboration with Eminem and adapting his 8 Mile biopic into a television series. He also signs a deal with Fox to host a new or upcoming television series after ending his deal with Starz and leaving back in September of 2022. He also wins Grand Champion Best of Show at the 2023 Rodeo Uncorked in Houston, Texas, with his wine being ranked the best of 3,071 entries from 18 countries, as well as a bottle of the wine selling in their auction for $325,000. In early March, 50 posted a photo of Vice City by Rockstar Games to his Instagram saying he'll explain later. Soon after, it is confirmed that Paramount Plus is developing a Vice City television show with 50 Cent. 50 is then seen at the Indiana Pacers game pushing him in a go-kart. This man ends up being Will Ferrell, and 50 says Will is one of his favorite actors.
The story.
So the story of 50 Cent so far has included 3 American Music Awards, 11 ASCAP Awards, 2 AVN Awards, a star on the Walk of Fame, 4 BET Awards, 29 Billboard Music Awards, 1 Grammy, 3 Music of Black Origin Awards, 2 MTV Awards, 1 Primetime Emmy, 3 Source Awards, 6 Vibe Awards, and 6 World Music Awards. He has released 2 video games, starred in over 100 films and TV shows, released 5 studio albums, 10 mixtapes, 4 compilation albums, and 2 soundtrack albums. He's written over 25 books as well as releasing cologne and apparel. All of this on top of and after taking 9 bullets with a shell fragment still in his tongue today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you learned something new, share it for someone else to learn too. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or recommendations, put them in the comments. Keep up with Collide Wire between the videos through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, linked in the description below. Thanks for plugging in, and I hope you learned something new at least. More is in the works, but for now, it's time to unplug. Much love.